Hello, welcome to this how-to. It explains how we've helped teams and programs to hit deadlines using the Scrum framework. Okay, I've shared my screen so that I can talk you through some visualizations which help me to explain how this approach works. I'm starting off with a very simplified version of the Scrum framework. So you can see there, product backlog, leading into sprint planning, leading into the sprint itself, and producing value, with the review and retro being the loop round back into the next sprint planning. This is great where you're producing value every sprint. You can then use that value to understand your product better and adapt and change as you go, making good decisions based on that. The problem is where you are looking to deliver something over a number of sprints, this cycle can become quite small. And that means you're not thinking about the big picture, you're purely thinking about the sprints themselves, which doesn't help you to think about when something needs to be delivered, but also what's the best way to deliver that bigger picture and that bigger piece of value. So there's a couple of things that we add in to really help teams and programs to get more agility at the program or sort of larger scale. But also to help them to understand where they are against the timelines. The first thing we add in is a medium-term plan. So this allows the team to see really simply how they're progressing against their aims and to be able to visualize that and discuss that and think about better ways to do it. This is shown on this second diagram, and the problem with this is you can see the loop is still just coming back into sprint planning, which means we end up with that original plan, which doesn't naturally change over time. So the second thing we add in is a medium-term plan. It's medium-term planning. So this is actively looking at it every 2 weeks to understand, is the medium-term plan still relevant? Is it still taking us in the right direction? Is there anything we need to be aware of at this point? And this really helps teams to take themselves up a level at that point between sprints in order to think about the big picture. You can also do the medium-term planning after sprint planning. Some teams find this easier. It means you can learn from the sprint planning as well, but sometimes you do need to loop back round to sprint planning in order to react to the medium-term planning. But typically you won't have to do that. So that's a perfectly valid time to do the medium-term planning as well. So what does a neat medium-term plan look like? Well, it can be really simple. It can be created in a standard tool like PowerPoint, or like I've done here, the free version of Miro. So all it does is outline the things you're going to do, when and how you're going to get to your value. And that value is really key. Really need to be focused around what is the value we're creating, not what is it that we are delivering, what's the value we're creating. That allows you to have much more flexibility while staying aligned to the value you're looking to create for your wider business. So here you see a line which outlines exactly that. What's the value we're looking to achieve? Then we outline the work we're going to do to get there, or the work we believe we need to do to get there. And these are typically large stories. They can be epics or anything else that you use, but they should be typically somewhere between half a sprint, maybe a couple of sprints, that sort of size. We also include any sort of external sort of inputs that we need, any dependencies. That could be a hardware delivery, it could be anything else. And you can have multiple lines with multiple teams if you've got teams working together. This really helps people to collaborate and work together to solve getting to this value, rather than it being something that needs to be coordinated down to the teams. So that's the medium-term plan. And the medium-term planning itself, very simple. So there's typically 6 questions that I asked based around sort of 4 themes. The 4 themes are around the speed or velocity that you're moving at, the plan and how you're doing against your current plan, thinking about whether you need to change and pivot the way that you're going, and then whether you need to communicate that. So we've got the 6 questions lined up here. They're also in the article itself. So have a read through those. But I literally work through this with a team, asking each of the questions, working through it with the team, and that helps them to really think about where they are, update the plan, make sure the plan is genuinely agile, not just something that's done once and then sits there acquiring dust. So there you go. That's a very quick run through of the approach that we've used with a number of teams and programs to help them to bring agility to the bigger picture and to work towards a specific date using the Scrum framework with only a couple of additions. I hope you found that useful, and please check out the article itself and the other articles we have on our site.